bomb-oriented. The games tend to go long. I was actually talking with Dave Shields and Matt Costa at the last round just about how good Counterspell is.
Which is like pretty good now.
Psychic Strike and Cancel on all those cards are just very good today for exactly those reasons.
We actually saw in Shields' match that he ended up losing due to some mana issues. He had Fall of the Gavel in as well, which is the 5-mana counterspell, gain 5 life.
He boarded that in and was lamenting the fact that he didn't main deck it.
Okay, sure. Because I know that game 1, when we saw Shields lose, he lost to an Aetherling.
Yeah.
And certainly that's going to warrant boarding in a counterspell anyway.
Absolutely.
But I think counterspells may just be good enough in this sealed format, period.
Yeah, well, so many people have their Aetherling or similar, borderline unbeatable bomb that counterspell's the most efficient answer to.
Once they're in play, they seem pretty hard to kill now.
Yeah. On the other hand, Corbin's deck is actually very aggressive Rakdos, splashing a couple green cards, and her deck is like one of the better I've seen today.
Okay, all right, that excites me. I'm a big Rakdos fan to begin with, probably my favorite guild. She begins with a Rakdos Guild Gate. There's your forest, so let's see if Corbin does have a turn 2 play again. Playing against Kollmer here, looks to be more of the blue-white-red style deck.
Swindler. Now, how does the Swindler stay in business? Right, because it's not actually a swindle, right? It's even money. It's a 50-50 shot for 3 life. I don't understand where the rake is.
Well, you're gonna have to have a conversation with Billy Moreno about that because he's the one who designed the card.
I don't understand how I'm getting swindled by her. This seems just like straight up gambling.
This is how you get swindled with her mad skills. It's now
look at
in
that.
for 5 we go. We're talking about aggressive deck. This is where it begins right now.
Missing a 3rd land drop, but it doesn't actually matter too much for the aggressive black-red deck.
So Kollmer has a 3rd land, 2nd island here to go on with the Electromancer. Electromancer going to come across for 2, knock Corbin down to 18, and see if Kollmer has a spell that's going to get reduced to play here, or just going to use all the mana for like a 3-drop.
It's a pretty do or die point of like removal or not, and no removal and not threatening the double block. I like Julia's spot this game.
Yeah, I would agree. So the Tavern Swindler is going to come across for 5 more here. I don't really see a reason why it wouldn't. Actually, take it back. I mean, it can attack, of course, but there's a rapid hybridization over there.
Ooh, very interesting. So, you don't expect blue to have a lot of removal, especially for 1 mana, but rapid hybridization, aka Pongify, that is one of the very few cards that does exactly that.
So you see Corbin does draw the 3rd land. It is a mountain, puts it into play. It's going to start the turn by attacking with the Tavern Swindler in for 5. Rapid Hybridization is going to take care of that. So I think it makes, is it an ape beast?
No, it's a fish crab?
Are you sure it's not a monkey animal?
I'm pretty sure it's a giraffe lizard.
We'll see if we have a giraffe lizard token at the ready over there. It's a fish lizard.
It's a fish lizard.
That's what it makes.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
what it's a fish lizard.
Pongify made an ape, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But fish lizard's pretty sweet, too.
Not so bad.
Yeah.
Not so bad. I can only imagine how much fun, as I told Gerard earlier, you guys at R&D had picking the creature types of these cards. How far can we stretch it as Corbin follows with an Ember Beast? So it's pretty good boring after getting your creature with madcap skills destroyed.
Yeah. Conveniently enough, giving her a creature to go along with the Ember Beast.
Yeah.
Ember Beast not too lonely.
No, for once.
Yeah. And the the blue-red deck looks like a teleportal in hand. Not exactly the type of card that you want in a spot where you're sort of the control. I think that's what this game is coming down to, is Kollmer's, got to stem the tide, and while Corbin, is trying to, get him dead as fast as possible.
So Nivik Cyclops is in the house here. That's the defender that can start attacking. Your new take on We Dragonauts.
That card's sweet.
Yeah, I actually like that card a lot, too. It hits hard. It plays defense well. It's going to solidify some things here against the old Ember Beast and the Fish Lizard. And you see Corbin taking a look at it, so we'll bring it up on the screen.
We got a reader.
You might as well read. I don't know what half the cards do. Are you kidding me?
I mean, the set came out like last week. Give me a break.
I kind of pride myself on knowing other cards. I'm alive. I've struggled a little bit with some of the cards today. It's been tough.
Understandable.
Trying to figure out what all these cards do. But Nivik Cyclops is going to play some defense here. Attack with both the Ember Beast and the Fish Lizard. Nivik Cyclops is going to step in front of one of those 3-power guys. Doesn't look like it's going to die, but we do know one thing across green and red is there is plenty of Blood Rush available. And it looks like we're going to see some.
It is the 3/3 that blood rushes for 3.
Yep, that's the Rubble Belt Maka.
El Maka.
I like that card a lot, actually. Hill Giant or Blood Rush +3/+3
Yeah.
acts as a brute force.
Yeah, it's very awesome. I mean, any 1-mana Blood Rusher is going to be sweet because it lets you do 2 things in a turn, but also, like, Hill Giant's just a fairly aggressively costed creature. I mean, it's going to be the top of your curve, but, you know, a 3/3 is a significant body.
Also, one thing to look at there, too, is that both of the abilities, both Casting Cost and Blood Rush, 1 red. So if you're 3 colors...
Absolutely, much easier on your mana.
Yep.
And now, we enter the stage of the game where, you know...
Neither player
has a 4th land, and neither board is particularly aggressive. You know, there's not a substantial advantage.
Yeah.
Right? Which is exactly what Kollmer wants going into sort of the mid-game. It's hard to call it a mid-game when both players are still missing their 4th land.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's not dead is definitely nice.
I'm going to follow up here with Windrake and Pax in the turn back. And I know Windrake is a card that Gerard's not particularly fond of. It's a 3-mana 2/2 flyer. Certainly not that impressive. I mean, Vassal Soul back in Return to Ravnica was certainly not anything that people were windmill slamming, and Windrake wasn't very good, even in its base set, M13. How do you like that card now?
Its time has passed it by. You know, back in the day, it used to be like one of the premier limited cards, but it's pretty easily outclassed nowadays. It's still fine, you know, it fits the curve, it can double block pretty well. It doesn't single block too well, but it can definitely team up with another blocker. And, you know, evasion is evasion.
This is not the windmill slam that it was from many moons ago.
Absolutely not.
That's for sure. Kind of sad to see Windrake's time go by.
Yeah.
Before you know it, we're going to see 3-mana 3/3 flyers on the reg.
Yep. Well, I mean, you know, Hill Giant used to be an actual limited card, and we just saw one that is just straight, like, infinitely outclasses it by having a free, awesome ability in Blood Rush.
So we do take a look here. Goss helping out Corbin on her turn, trying to figure out what's going to happen. Looks like we have a Devour Flesh here.
Definitely not going to get any better.
Yeah, you might as well get rid of that thing. As you said, it's not going to get any better. It's still going to cost 2 mana. You need to do something with it, so get that thing out of the way. Devour Flesh, a card that, you know, I was never really a big fan of in its limited format to begin with, and I don't think it's getting any better now. Across the triple sets,
it's definitely less impressive. I definitely think that it's an aggressive card. I think that it's, even though, you know, you're giving them some life, it's the fact that you can do 2 things in a turn, like play another 2-drop and Edict, or Edict and like keep up the pressure. You know, you take out the single blocker that they're kind of hinging on to be able to stabilize them.
Okay.
And then the Devour Flesh is good. But in the control decks where the game's going long, the board's getting cluttered, you have a bunch of walls, they have a bunch of bad creatures that can't get through anyway, that, you know, Devour Flesh, they're not using this guy anyway, they might as well throw it away.
Yeah. So now we're going to see some attacks here. And no great blocks. I mean, you could see a double block here representing just 1 red, but again, that red does represent a couple of Blood Rush tricks. But you might be in the position now for Kollmer where I just have to hope that Corbin doesn't have a Blood Rush trick at all.
Yeah. Kollmer's definitely seems like he's cradling his Electromancer. You know, with his mana issues, he's trying to, and sure enough, that's what happens.
Okay.
I was gonna say he's got a 5-mana something.
Yeah.
Instant or sorcery that because he was putting some work in protecting that Electromancer, not double blocking, not sacrificing a pretty bad flyer. Instead of it to the Devour Flesh, and sure enough, it's Punish
the enemy,
which is the Searing Blaze.
Gerard calls it Barbed Lightning, but you can call it Searing Blaze. Either's okay.
Well, he's a little older school.
Yeah, that's true. You're just a youngster. I was around for both, so I don't know what that makes me. Maybe I just play too much.
Yeah.
But either way, Ember Beast is a little bit more lonely now, so you can kind of see, as you said, why Kollmer was coddling that Goblin Electromancer, because this has kind of cleared up some problems here, and now Corbin can't attack with that Ember Beast unless she has a haste creature. And I don't think she does, but I could be wrong, as she is tapping some mana here.
I know she has 1 haste creature, but it costs 6 mana.
That's a lot more than 3.
That is a Carnival Hellsteed in her deck, which I saw her do some work with last round.
So you see Corbin's going to play a Splatter Thug. No Unleash. Wants to be able to block that Goblin Electromancer if the opportunity calls.
It looks like her hand, you know, for an aggressive deck with a fairly low curve, it looks like her hand is actually fairly glutted. So she's fine, you know, playing a little defense. Her life total's quite low, facing down a flyer, and just trying to get to the point where she can cast her bigger spells.
Yeah. Looks like we see a Golgari Longlegs in Corbin's hand among other cards.
Eddie
right now.
Longlegs.
Haven't seen that one for a long time. It feels like
I missed them.
It literally feels like years ago that I was casting that card.
Yeah.
But I guess it was around 6 or 7 months ago that we were casting the Golgari Longlegs.
And boy, did I cast that Golgari Longlegs. That card is sweet. I love me a big vanilla idiot.
You heard it here first. So in comes Windrake. Electromancer, of course, going to stay put. Can't tangle with a first striker. So Corbin's going to go down to 7. You see a Void Wielder there in Kollmer's hand, but again, does not have the 5th land.
A couple black cards,
Yep.
so still mana issues for both sides. Ooh, Corbin's drawing the 4th land. Now her options are starting to open up. The question is whether she can deploy her hand at a rate that will help either stop the Windrake from clocking her or equalize or race the Windrake.
Sure.
You know, whether that 4th land was in time or not is going to be the question that we answer now.
So Corbin taking her time on this turn. We're pretty sure there's a Golgari Longlegs over there. We don't know the rest of the contents. She's checking with Goss to see what we should do for this turn. And part of the, that's part of the thing that makes Team Limited so great is that you got to check in with your teammates and see what should I do this turn, and that's part of the team chemistry that goes along with the format.
Absolutely. I definitely think that, and we get an aggressive attack here. I definitely think that the team dynamic is super interesting for individual games because, polling opinions and being able to get reads off of when they're asking their teammates and stuff, it definitely adds a lot of really interesting dynamics to an already sort of mind gamey, tricky format.
Yeah, super interesting format.
With all the combat tricks, all the instant speed stuff, the removal, the counters, there's a lot of information to be gleaned and misinformation to give.
That's true.
Lots and lots of mind games. Very cool stuff.
So Electromancer's going to jump in front of the Ember Beast. That's going to bite the dust. Splatter Thug is going to get its 2 damage through. Let's see if Corbin has a follow-up here. I think that's the big question because if she does have a 3 or 4 mana play, it's going to change the game, and there's a Sewer Shambler.
While, fairly mediocre right now, we know that Kollmer's hand has a bunch of black cards in it. Mm-hmm. So, if he draws a swamp, he's going to be sort of put between a rock and a hard place. Do I play this so I can play my spells? But then she has an unblockable creature, and I'm pretty low. There's definitely a tension there if the swamp comes up. But for now, it looks like Kollmer's facing down an already fairly scary board. I mean, the Windrake can theoretically trade with the Shambler, but then Julia can play another creature, and then the next turn scavenge the Shambler, and that's like a pretty powerful sequence from this position with Kollmer so low.
That's not bad at all. Now the thing that's happening here too is you see Kollmer starting to tap mana. It looks like Windrake might have to put the old brace on here.
Yeah.
Brace is certainly not in that creature's favor or Kollmer's favor. But you see him starting to tap some mana right now. There's a Street Spasm, I think, in his hand, and yep, he's reaching for it. Gonna take down that Splatter Thug, X=2.
Sure, take it down now. No tricky stuff.
Yep.
Definitely understandable.
No Blood Rush allowed, no potential Giant Growth, Burst of Strength, none of that stuff. No thank you.
5th land for Corbin, and, that Ember Beast still has a partner. Looks like if I had to guess, the way that this game develops is attack, Windrake block the Shamble, Corbin plays a follow-up creature, probably the Longlegs, and then the next turn has access to Scavenge. Again, super, super powerful sequence from Corbin. It's going to be hard for Kollmer to stabilize here. Let's see if he can do it. Looks like actually I'm incorrect. It is that the rare?
Oh, that's the Guild Champion. That's Voros the Star Striped. This is the card that people are talking about trying to build around in Constructed, and, Commander, and with Death Shadow.
That's a heck of a card.
And it's a really good card.
I was saying that Scavenge was going to be a powerful sequence here. I thought it was going to be a turn away.
Yeah.
Julia's like, no, I'm just going to do that now. And Corbin putting the counters on the Shambler, attacking for a lethal here. I mean, the Windrake is now chumping.
Yes.
Very powerful card. The Golgari Guild Champion. The Maze Racer.
Yeah.
The Maze Runner for Golgari.
Yeah, this card is incredible. Not only does it have all these applications with scavenge, bringing guys back, making something bigger immediately, as you see the scavenge on the Tavern Swindler, but not to mention that it's almost impossible to actually kill this thing because it can just regenerate. So we've done a lot of over the course of this weekend. My pack, your pick. If I open that card, I'm not playing the game anymore. I'm not looking at it.
Yeah,
I'm just taking it.
Just taking that one and moving on.
Yeah.
Maybe glance at what you might wheel.
Yeah.
And, we're done.
That card is ridiculous. So Corbin is going to be up a game. We'll be moving over to another match momentarily. I think here, as you see in the middle, you see those two players shuffling, Goss and Taylor. Goss is up a game as well. So Corbin, Goss, and Bourne are doing very well here, while Kollmer, Taylor, and Parshall a little bit behind the eight ball.
On the back foot. And as we're cutting away from Corbin's game, I will say I believe that she has not dropped a single game in this tournament.
Chase.
Yeah.
Chase.
Her deck is quite good. She's been playing very well, doing a little carrying.
Yeah, I didn't see a bad spell that game.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
As we cut in here, we'll take a look at the board state here for you. You're going to see some blocks taking place. On Bourne's side, you see a Centaur healer, you see a Foundry champion, a Gary Decoy, and a Greenside Washer, among a bunch of lands and a Cluestone. On Parshall's side, he's sending in, he's got a Syndicatize, a Frost Wielder. What else we got here? Looks like a Blood Scrivener down there. A couple of cards, a Sin Collector near the top. Couple of lands, couple of guild gates here, so board very cluttered that we've cut into here.
These types of game states are awesome, and they're becoming more and more common in these
These
sealed.
are my favorite game states.
Super complex combat and a bunch of tricks still in the format. Lots of creatures. How does this pair off against this?
Yep.
Relative strength of an extorter on board and the scavenge guy in the yard, etc. There's just so many different dynamics to these types of combats. It's really, really interesting to watch.
I've been seeing this all over the course of the day. Most of the games that we've watched this weekend have been very much like this. Very cluttered games, a lot of cards, a lot of keywords, a lot of things going on. And this is probably one of the more complex formats of all time, I think.
Yeah, it is.
How many keywords there are, and the interaction between all these cards, it's absolutely insane to watch.
Not to mention every deck is 3+ colors, so you have to play around everything ever.
Yes.
Yeah, it's insane.
Okay, so we see a Palisade Giant. All right.
So that's what was going on there, and Bourne's deck is actually pretty awesome. It's a couple of rampy cards, like the Gate Watchers, a Cluestone. I think he's got a Verdant Haven, and then just 6 and 7 mana bombs. He's got Foundry Champion, Giant Adaphage, Tristani Summoner.
Okay.
The Palisade Giant, the 6/6 Vigilance Reach guy from the new set.
Gotcha.
Just a ton of
Thar.
Thar, just a ton of super expensive, super awesome dudes, and you have the healer, which is the perfect stopgap to get up to those giant bombs. Really, really cool.
And so you see Opalite Gatekeepers on the screen. The reason I show you that is because Parshall cast that after combat. And as he was doing that, he said, I'm going to draw 2 cards. And Bourne said, I don't know why you're drawing 2 cards. But because Blood Scrivener's in play and Parshall has no cards in his hand, most people look at Blood Scrivener and go, I have cards in my hand when I start my turn. Draw 2 cards, like a Phyrexian Arena. Or you can do it now, too. I have no cards in my hand, playing Opalite Gatekeepers, do my gate check. I have 2, draw a card. Blood Scrivener says I didn't have any cards, draw another one.
Very interesting.
That's a, kind of a subtle interaction. I don't think it's going to come up a ton, but it certainly comes up here.
Yeah, very cool.
I think he may have gotten Extort Trigger in there too, because might
as well trade.
Yeah. And so Bourne is going to analyze the game state. He's going to scoop it up. So Parshall going to get his team on the board. 1-0 over there. Kollmer and Taylor against the back. And now we see Taylor. We might be moving over to that match here, as it looks like those players are shuffling up and look like they're just about ready to go.
Corbin on the end there looks like she's going to mulligan down to 6. And the middle game is underway with Taylor on the play.
So I like the nice bird's eye view here. We get to see the players, and now they're giving the go ahead. Mountain and Azorius Guildgate are the plays here, and it looks like in just a moment, as you see it's highlighted there, Goss on the left is up a game here against Taylor. Taylor's going to take his turn. He's going to play a force and just passes the turn back.
So Goss's deck is Esper sort of control-y, a little slower, some removal, and some top-end cards. He's been having issues with really, really aggressive decks.
Okay.
Pretty much all day. So I'm very interested to see, how fast Taylor's deck is, and to see how it's going to match up.
Well, Warmine Infantry is going to get the party started, and Syncopate
No, it
for
isn't.
one says, no, it's not, actually, and you are exiled. And, you know, Syncopate for one, it can certainly catch something better, but if he is having trouble with aggressive decks, I think you're just of the mind of, I'll just counter the first guy.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter
tagging
what it is.
anything early game is definitely going to be in Goss's best interest, and he does exactly that. Warmine Infantry, not a paltry 3-drop either, quite threatening.
So you see True Fire Paladin with draw step here. Now, True Fire Paladin, a card that was completely insane in the previous format. A first pick, you want to be in Boros, all your lands are red and white, you can pump it, give it first strike multiple times. Now we're moving towards a 3-color format. How much better is this card now?
It's hard to say, right? Because the format's definitely slowed down, which makes its impact a little less, and we've moved to 3 colors, which makes your ability to activate it multiple times in a turn a little less. At the same time, it's still like unbelievably good. Like as you said, it was so good in that format that it was actually considered to be the Boros Guild Mage over the Sunhome Guild Mage.
Yeah.
Like that's how good it was. So it's still definitely going to be a good card, definitely threatening in any type of early to mid game state. And as you see here, I mean, it's got one of the best blocking deterrents in the form of the ability to pump and first strike. That it's basically an evasive 2-drop with like semi-fire breathing.
Okay.
That is good enough in pretty much any situation.
So now Deputy of Quittles is going to happen here. Now you're going to see pumping. Yeah, this, well, I thought this smelled like a smite, but we're actually going to see a Swift Justice.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So, you know, 2 for 1ing himself to try and get rid of the True Fire Paladin and gain some life. Again, he feels his late game, mid to late game is good. He just wants to not get run over, which is completely reasonable.
Yeah.
And as Taylor missed a couple drops there, you know, creature drops in his curve, and you're sort of semi-time walking him because he has to spend the mana to first strike, I think that's a fine play.
So here's the 6th land. Forest, Mountain, Plains. No problems here for Taylor, and he does have a spell to cast in Ivory Lane Denizen.
Denizen coming down a turn later than he would have liked.
Yep.
But
you know, I don't love the Swift Justice trade there with Deputy of Quittles, but again, if it's helping to facilitate his game plan of I just need to get to the long game, especially when I'm having mana issues.
Exactly.
The last thing I want to play against a True Fire Paladin with a bunch of mana to activate.
Exactly. And
So
that is not what you want to do either.
Yeah, that's the runner's bane. And so we had this question come up a couple times. We're in the cast of, you know, if the Ivory Lane Denizen actually gets over 3 power, does the runner's bane fall off? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, it falls off indeed. And so any green creature, you put the counter onto the Denizen itself and take off the Bane.
Yep.
I'm not sure if Goss knew that interaction and is, you know, just trying to preserve his life total, or I think more likely he's not sure about how that works. And if Taylor knows, then this could be a pretty bad blowout as soon as he draws a green creature.
So now Common
Bond, that works too.
Definitely knows the interaction, yeah. So that's going to bump up the jam. That's going to make Ivory Lane Denizen a 4/5. Runner's Bane goes bye-bye. Taylor untaps. No cards in hand, but 7 power on the board. Can't be too upset against opponents who's having some serious mana issues right now.
Yeah. Missed a couple land drops. He has the Clue Stone, so you know he's starting to pull out of it. If he draws a land that has a card like a Void Wielder or something else, like some sort of tempo card to sort of throw him back into the game, then as the game progresses, he's going to be in good shape, as he has a handful of cards in his opponent's Hellbent. But if he doesn't have that, there's the 5th land and the black,
and it's a swamp.
Yep. But you know, if he doesn't have some big tempo boosts to get him back into this game, to give him time to sort of trade his excess resources for Taylor's board, then he might be run over. But looks like he's got some plays.
3 mana here. The plays are going to have to be good right now. You know, you can't afford to cast something that's kind of like slow and needs to get built to. A card I'm thinking of right now is like Simic Flux Mage.
Right.
You can't afford to play a card that's so slow and not impactful like that.
Well, I mean, the way that this game is played out, right? Taylor, I think he might have mulliganed and is flooding out a little. Goss, on the other hand, Bane Alley Broker. That is the exact type of card that he doesn't need.
Yeah.
Because he's already got all the stuff, all the resources he needs. Is that another one?
It's a second Runner's
Bane. It's another Runner's Bane with the Idling Denizen still in play.
Yeah.
That's awkward.
It is awkward.
It's a bit awkward.
I mean, this is kind of the problem with Runner's Bane, right?
Yeah.
Where people look at this card, and most of the time when there are blue pacifism type effects, like a Frozen Solid or an Ice Cage, or this one, you know, it's like this conditional removal spell every time for blue. Where
this
it's
one's
like
especially conditional.
Yeah,
This one's quite conditional.
It's like, if things go right, this is the rule of spell, but if something goes wrong, like you have, I don't know, anything, and it doesn't work out the way you want to. And right now, he's got Ivy-Lane Denizen just like, all right, I need a green creature to turn this thing off.
Well, like, Goss has traded down all game, right? Like, his Syncopate was a 1-for-1 or whatever, but then, like, Swift Justice and a creature for the True Fire Paladin. The Runner's Bane, basically for the common bond, but the counters stay around.
Sure.
And now another Runner's Bane, just crossing your fingers, hope he doesn't draw a green creature for the next couple turns so you can stabilize. And he's still got a handful of cards.
Yeah.
And a Cluestone, which represents another card. So, like, this is classic sort of aggro versus control played out in a limited environment.
Sure.
Right? You're trading down because your late game is more powerful and you have the card advantage on your opponent that you're able to trade down.
That's quickly tapping for mana is Taylor. You got to be a little bit scared if you're Goss. I'm wondering what this is. Is he reaching for green?
Yeah, that's what I would be most scared of. A creature is like kind of annoying, but whatever. But if it's a green creature, then you got to be worried.
So here comes Ivy-Lane in for 4. Goss is going to go down to 12. Now let's see what it is. That's a green creature.
That is a large green creature.
Put the counter here. Get that Runner's Bane out of here. Floop goes the pig, and Pat turn back.
I was looking at you, it's just like, who's going to say it? Is it going to be you? Is it going to be me? He floops the pig all right, and, an 0-3 facing down 4-4-4-5-5-4.
All right, I mean, how does Goss get out of this situation? I'm going to take a look at his deck list because I want to search for two cards right now.
As you look at that, I'm going to say something very relevant. We talk about how does the Swindler stay in business? How does the Bane Alley Broker stay in business? You mean you give me, something, or anything, and I give you exactly what I don't want?
Sooner or later.
How's that a value?
Gee, there's some nice outs here for Goss,
Plus I can get it back for free?
Yeah.
This is the worst pawn shop I've ever seen.
Bane Alley Broker is going to get activated now. Goss actually has some decent draws here. 1,000 Lashes. The card I was looking for is maybe Supreme Verdict and or Merciless Eviction.
Right.
Neither of those are here. 1,000 Lashes seems to be one of the better draws that's available right now. I'll tell you one card that's not very good, and a card I was never a big fan of anyway, is Soul Ransom, which does not fix this situation at all. And I'll tell you another card that doesn't, Rune Wing. That's not going to save him much either.
Rune Wing, not the most defensive creature. Not really an aggressive creature either.
Not really quite sure what it does. It gets mugged.
But definitely a muggable. All right, Flavor Judge again. How you mugging a bird?
Yeah. Well, the bird gives Goss a card,
which is not the resource that Goss needed. He needed board presence, not extra cards.
That is correct. Goss is going to lose game 2, so they're going to go to a game 3 here between Taylor and Goss as we take a look at the other matches here. Parshall, Bourne, they're underway there in game 2. Corbin, Kollmer. We'll cut to one of these two matches here. Wonder if Varros is out here giving a beatdown yet again.
That game was like quietly very one-sided.
Which one?
The game we just watched.
Yeah, Goss and Taylor.
Yeah,
even though Taylor was flooding.
Yeah. Every interaction was super favorable for Taylor, and Goss just couldn't get on board, couldn't he missed a bunch of land drops, couldn't exchange at any productive rate or even rate. Pretty much all game. That was pretty awesome to watch. One player's spells just completely outclass the others.
Yeah. So we come back here. We see a Splatter Thug unleashed. We see another creature unleashed here.
It's the flyer, 2/3 flyer.
Okay, thank you very much. And then you see the Nivik Cyclops here. Yes, we've seen this trick a couple of times.
First is strike.
It is Weapon Surge, which can be overloaded, but just the individual copy on the Splatter Thug to take care of the Nivik Cyclops. Come in for a couple more points of damage there with the flyer. We'll see if Corbin has a follow-up here as well, as you see at least the Carnival Hellstein in hand. And now you're going to see, yes, the Swindler, your favorite card, designed by Billy Moreno.
Swindler is actually my invitational card. Originally, I proposed it as 2 mana, tap it, game 3 life, and they printed it a little worse.
Okay.
A little worse.
Okay.
I mean, I still play, whenever I'm on Moto, drafting, streaming, I just swindle. We're both at 20, it's turn 3, he plays a 2/3 so I can't attack. I'm like, all right, EOT.
I mean, you only live once.
Swindle, yeah. Yeah. You only YOLO once.
Okay.
So, Primordial, Big Daddy Primordial.
Now here's a card that actually gets to see some more play now, because the Gate Crash format was so fast that you couldn't actually consistently play Primordials. And I remember a conversation that I saw on Louis Scott Vargas' Twitter, where he was like, do I take the Blue Primordial or do I take Wojak Halberdier. And Ben Stark's like, Halberdier,
You moron.
Yeah,
obviously.
It's not even close.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, but it's a 5/5 flyer for 7. I get a spell back. I get the value of them. It's
Classic
like,
Louise.
First of all, you're not going to get the value because all the spells suck. Second of all, you're dead on turn 4. Like, it's just not
to
going
the guy with the halberdiers.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now, 3 colors, slower format. The primordials, all of them really get to shine.
Actually, all of them. I mean, even the green one, which seems like it might be one of the worst ones, Sylvan Primordial, the fact that there are so many things for that card to blow up now, it looks much better.
There's a bunch of mana rocks, different types of pacifisms, and everyone's splashing their 4th color or whatever. You tag that guild gate, or just tagging any guild gate to keep the guild watchers, the 2/4s.
Yeah, the gatekeepers.
Gatekeepers, yeah. I mean, that there's value in that.
Doesn't hurt that it's a huge monster either.
Yes.
So the Primordial is going to flashback the Devour Flesh over in Corbin's graveyard. She sacrifices the Tavern Swindler. Sorry, AJ, your invitational card is dead.
Brutal.
Leaving her with that Splatter Thug and that Flyer still.
Pretty sure that Devour Flesh should be exiled, but don't think it's going to matter.
Yeah, I think that does that. I'm pretty sure the Primordial does exile the Devour Flesh. So we'll make sure the zones are correct as we're radiating into our judge here. I want to make sure we're all kosher all the time.
So, Corbin, again, missing a bunch of land drops. I think that she's actually playing 41. I think they're all playing 41.
Okay.
Which, not usually a huge deal, but, it does add a little bit more of inconsistency, a little higher variance. And Corbin, with some of her higher drops and missing land drops, now is the Hellsteed even going to be good with Kollmer with a pretty imposing evasive board and a bunch of mana to deal with whatever is thrown at him. It's too late. Unless something changes, it's going to be too late.
So Corbin draws a swamp. 5th land put into play. We know about the Carnival Hellsteed in her hand. We're not sure about the other 2 cards, holding them very close. Wondering what she can do about this Primordial that is standing tall as a 5/5 flyer, willing to change the game, change the race, change everything in just a moment.
A card that would be interesting here that I know Corbin has in her deck is Traitorous Instinct. I don't think that she has it in her hand.
Always interesting.
That is definitely the type of card that she wants to be able to turn the tide here. You need basically a removal spell or some way to hugely change the race so that the Primordial has to stay on defense so that you have time to capitalize on your Hellsteed. Otherwise, if you just try and race straight up, the Primordial is just going to win.
Yeah. Reaching, slows down.
Corbin, a fairly good player, but she's very, what's the word? Slow. No, she plays very methodically. She likes to think through all of the options. Oh, and it is the instinct. Well, I'm a genius.
Yeah, well, if anyone knows anything about Traitorous Instinct, it's you. That's for sure.
Oh, still a little salty, are we, Cedric?
I always will be. I always will be. So Traitorous Instinct's going to take the Diluvian Primordial. That's going to come across along with the rest of the gang here. So Primordial's going to get +2/+0. Does not get trampled like some other threatens do. But a 7/5 coming across, it looks like that Sprite is going to have to jump in front of that, and Corbin's going to be able to get 5 points of damage across.
Yep. Basically, eat the Sprite and hit for 5. That is the type of tempo turn that Julia needed to really make sure that she doesn't just die before she can deploy her other threats.
Yep. See, Kollmer, take a look at his hand for a moment. Consider his options. Do I actually need to block this thing? Because
I can't imagine going to 1 here is right.
Yeah, am I supposed to go to 1 or am I supposed to chump block? Oh my.
Wow.
Oh my.
I feel like he's got a game plan.
That's probably a pretty good read.
I feel like he might have a game plan here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible he knows about
the... for 6?
Oh, he's got like a... I was going to say explosive impact or a gridlock or some sort of race auto win, and those types of cards are super, super good in this format because the game goes long enough that even though you're in a race situation, you're getting to turn 7 and 8, so you have enough time to get the mana out there and get the board presence necessary to sort of capitalize on a card like Gridlock. Gridlock not that good in its single set format.
Actively bad, actually.
Yeah.
It was just too slow to ever get online. In this format, it's going to be what it was meant to be, which is just a complete blowout, like Bluster's Claw was.
Exactly. And all of those types of cards are super good in these game states where there's a lot of standoffs and a lot of racing. Right? Those are the two of the maybe 3 or 4 types of games that happen.
Yeah.
And it's insane in both of those types of games. Like, absolutely game-winning.
So now we cut over here, Bourne, Parshall. Parshall up again. We take a look at Parshall's board. You see a Corpse Blockade, a Void Wheeler, a Kingpin's Pet, and probably my new favorite uncommon on the day in the Haunter of Night Vale.
Is it not the Ghastly of Night Vale?
It is the Haunter of Night Vale.
What about the Gengar?
It is not a Pokemon. AJ.
Okay.
We see on Bourne's side a Centaur Healer, a Rubbleback Rhino, and the Palisade Giant. Palisade Giant, one of the better white rares from Return of Ravnica.
Pretty awkward and humorous interaction here is the Giant and the Death Toucher in the Corpse Blockade on the other side.
Okay, sure.
Because if anything would be dealt, the damage from the Corpse Blockade with Death Touch, that damage goes to the Giant, and the Giant just dies.
Ah, okay.
So, like, Bourne actually has no attacks.
Yeah, sure,
Like,
sure.
Like, even if his board was better, he would still not be able to attack because his Giant would just be trading.
Makes you wonder if Bourne sees that interaction, because there, as we've seen over the course of this weekend, even in the course of this round, there are a lot of subtle interactions in this format.
It's so awesome.
Yeah,
I love
really
it.
is. It really is awesome. Like, the thing I like about this limit format is, like, it's more of a traditional limit format in that games are grindy. There's a lot of decisions to be made, a lot of interactions, but at the same time, it's kind of overwhelming, right? Because there are so many cards you have to play around,
absolutely.
and there's so many interactions where, if you lose to something, you're just like, oh man, I was thinking about like 8 other cards.
Yeah.
All right, sorry guys.
Yeah, the scope in which you like operate is just so vast.
Yeah.
And it's really awesome to just like you walk into a game state like you're watching somebody's playing and you just try and like figure out just like how did it come to this?
Yeah.
Like what sequence of cards and like weird interactions and corner case scenarios came to be.
And as I told people a little bit earlier when I was with Gerard, what I normally do to prepare for a limited tournament is I print off the spoiler or just a list of the cards, and I memorize all the instants and sorceries and like cards that have haste. And stuff.
Good luck, buddy.
Yeah, and it's just like with this, it's just like, okay, that's completely
Because
unreasonable.
a bunch of the like creatures also are instants.
Yeah, because of Blood Rush.
Blood Rush and Flash.
Yeah, so like that's completely unreasonable. And then it's like, oh, by the way, like all 10 split cards. Plus, you need to know like what the split cards do when they fuse and how that's going to blow you out. So like that's additional cards. As we see a split card being cast right now, an Armed Dangerous, which is the thing that gives +1/+1 and double strike and lure.
Yeah, very sweet. Definitely one of my pre-release MVPs.
Yeah, I can't imagine this card ever being poor.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's that great on like each half. Like, I don't think you're ever going to cast like them separately very often. So oftentimes it's going to be a 6-mana spell, especially because they're sorceries. So you can't really blow one out in combat with Arm. But together, lure effects often in limited Magic have been great. I mean, look at Golgari Decoy from 8 months ago.
Exactly. And we were just talking about Bluster Squall and Gridlock.
Yeah.
I mean, Lure is another card exactly like that. And that are, awesome in race situations and in board stalls.
Yeah.
And Armed and Dangerous is sweet because, like, you can actually use it as, like, a 2 for X. Like, trade, your Armed Dangerous and your creature for basically their whole board.
Yep.
Or, alternatively, you can do it on different ones, lure and deal them like 10 or whatever.
Oh, yeah, because you can move. Yeah, I think that's something that maybe, a lot of people forget it, because I actually didn't even think about that. You can put Armed on one guy, Dangerous on the other guy, Dangerous on like your 1/1 Saproly or something.
Yeah,
it's a real tough guy. Take a bunch of damage from the other thing.
So we're resolving a bunch of damage here. It's all of Parshall's creatures are hitting the Giant. So, was there enough to kill the Giant, or are we sacking the blockade? Who knows?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna find.
Let's find out.
That's what we're gonna find out after all the dust settles here.
And the creature order is super relevant for like how double strike, like the first strike damage, is gonna be resolved. I wish this was on Magic Online, so we could just see
like
the
a little
numbers.
easier.
Yeah. Just like let the computer figure it out, so I don't have to do it. My small brain can't process all these numbers.
There's also like that Hunter of Night Vale kind of looming there. Like how big is that Centaur?
Yeah, how big is it really?
Yeah, because it's right now it's attacking is a 3/4 because it was a 2/3. Armed Dangerous is going to give it +1/+1, so it's actually a 3/4.
Oh brother!
Oh Magic! How I loathe thee!
What a great game!
Yeah.
So it looks like we are ordering the Kingpin's Pet was first. The blockade being second, first strike damage resolved on the pet, and then the Syndic gets sacrificed to the blockade to give it Death Touch. The double strike isn't enough, or the first strike wasn't enough to finish off the pet and the blockade. So then the normal damage is dealt. The Death Touch from the blockade goes to the giant, like I mentioned earlier, and the healer survives. He's fine. The giant jumped in front of the bullet there.
You guys get all that? Me neither. Parshall's gonna untap. He's gonna draw.
6, although I'm pretty sure the blockade was supposed to die as well.
Depending on the order of blockers, right?
Right, 'cause I think it went pet and then blockade, which the pet, the center healer is a 3 power double strike. You deal 2 to the pet, 1 to the blockade, and then regular strike deals 3 more to the blockade. Technically the game state's not illegal.
Yeah.
Because Bourne could deal 3 to the Kingpin's pet and 3 to the blockade.
That's true.
That is a legal way to do it.
Yep.
But obviously not optimal. So maybe a bit of a misstep there by Bourne if I'm reading the game state correctly, which I believe I am.
So by the way, it looks like we're okay here. Of course, if there is something wrong, I'm sure they'll stop playing back it up, but it looks like we're just fine here in the game state.
I think the game state's legal. I just think he made a mistake.
Yeah, sure.
So, a hand full of cards for both players.
Yeah.
And the board clearing a little, simplifying the position to steal a chess term, and 2, 3.
Yeah, so there shouldn't be a trade here. It's rollback around the 3-4. Yeah, it looks like 3-4s are running into each other, and then a 1-4 is going to get through. I mean, we're here in the booth trying to make things as least complicated as we can. It doesn't surprise me that the players are probably having a little bit of difficulty because, again, it's a new limited format, and there are a lot of interactions.
Plus, you got your teammate yapping in your ear when you're trying to do math.
Yeah, don't talk to me at the Grand Prix. I'm going to have to sit in the CC, you can sit in the A seat. I'm going to have to focus in when we're in Providence because it's going to be pretty hard
Tim's going to play
everything.
Tim's going to play the divider.
Yeah,
that's his role on the squad.
Well, he just found out if he's watching, which means he might not want to go anymore.
All right, so we're in Parshall's second main, and let's see what his follow-up is here. He's got Bourne at a fairly low life total, but his board is not that aggressive. He doesn't have a ton of he doesn't have evasive dudes.
Yeah.
Or really huge dudes.
Angelic Edict. Okay. Only target for that. Now, this is something that Gerard and I have talked about kind of at length this weekend. The use of removal and how you're supposed to use it, because how threatening is that Centaur healer right now anyway? What if Bourne right now plays, I don't know, this looks like
one of his many 6 or 7 mana
This looks like this is going to be something awesome.
Giant Adaphage.
Yeah, what if he plays a Giant Adaphage?
That's a big bug.
Yeah. This is where you go, I probably shouldn't have cast that Angelic Edict.
You're going to need an angel-sized swatter to take down that bug.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Conveniently enough.
This is the thing that's scary because it doesn't have to be a gigantic threat like the giant bug is, but what if he just played just some sort of guild mage, because there are so many.
Or a flyer.
Yeah. It just changes everything. Now the giant
don't think
the giant Adaphage is in play.
The healer Rubble Belt board versus your 1/4 and Cumberstone creature, not that threatening. Definitely, I think that was Parshall had a couple options in hand. Like a bunch of mana that he didn't want to go to waste, so he felt obligated to play the Edict, but now Bourne gets to follow up with a much more threatening creature, and Parshall's down a removal spell.
Got no interest in blocking that thing, trust me.
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure, is this how Giant Adaphage works? So let's say he attacks through, Corpse Blockade blocks it, the trample damage, he takes 3, he gets a copy of Giant Adaphage, and Giant Adaphage has attack stuff, and the token hits, it makes another one too?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. The one thing about Gatecrash is because the format was so fast, you didn't actually get to see this card get cast very much.
It's a mythic rare, and it costs 7, so I don't think it's ever hit. For in Moto history, it's maybe hit 12 times. But decoy to get it through for sure is pretty awesome. You can't smite or whatever.
And so now there's a Devour Flesh in response, and I think I know what I'm sacrificing.
Bourne does too.
Yeah, I choose you, Rubbleback Rhino. It's been fun. I'll take the 4th life.
So actually, that Devour Flesh makes the Edict make more sense, right? You Edict the healer to make sure that your Devour Flesh hits the Shroud creature.
Sure.
Theoretically, that's that's like a favorable exchange.
Yeah.
You're using 2 removal spells for 2 creatures, whatever, and you're getting the hexproof guy that's theoretically threatening. You can put like a Knightly Valor or whatever on it, or scavenge onto it. It's pretty scary. But the way that it played out, you'd rather have your Devour Flesh hit literally nothing or anything. You know, you'd rather have it hit this Singer of Songbirds or the token rather than the Rhino, just so that you get the Edict for the bug.
So now here comes the Giant Ataphage.
This is a somewhat risky attack.
Yeah, so I don't love this attack because you're making this attack after you played your creatures. So now Parshall is just like, okay, I have perfect information on how to block.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about a single thing. No blood rush, no nothing. Like by tapping out, shields are down. It's like he doesn't have any decisions to make. It's just like, all right, I mean, I got some guys. I can deal 3, 4. You know, I got a death touch guy here. So all right.
Like not only are Parshall's blocks very good, and he has free perfect information like on this turn. Bourne also has a lure guy. Like the decoy can just make sure that the Ataphage gets through next turn.
Yeah.
Definitely not an attack I would have made. And now the Ataphage is gonna.
This Ataphage is gonna trade. I mean, it's gonna
trade for his board.
Well, it's gonna get 2 guys, right? Because it's a 6. It's a 6. So it goes. So he goes sacrifice. He goes sacrifice Void Wielder to the corpse, and then because it's a 6, it'll deal its damage like 4 of it to the Haunter, 2 maybe to the Corpse Blockade. So it'll get a 2-for-1 here.
Sure, that does not seem very profitable.
I mean,
especially with a spell.
Yeah,
here.
especially if it's a spell, which is -4,
-2.
So now this is the new black common Fatal Fumes. -4, -2 at instant speed. So now
stinky. It's a stinky bug.
Now it's just a 2/6. It's a 2/4. No, excuse me. It's a 2/5.
So you still have to death touch to kill it.
No, 2/5. No death touch. 3, 4, 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. And the bug actually kills nothing.
So Giant Ataphage for your Fatal Fumes, not the best trade.
If you told me I was going to see that trade today when I woke up this morning,
I don't think
I would have believed you.
That mistake, and I'm willing to say that that attack was a mistake.
Yes.
And I think that mistake is extra compounded. Ooh.
Oh, wow. So now this is the Black Gatekeeper, -2/2 here.
Kill the decoy.
And now he gets to get in here and be more aggressive. Parshall was in some serious trouble, and look how this game turned around off of the back of 1 error.
Well, 2 errors, back-to-back mistakes, right? If the Corpse Blockade had died to the double strike, like it should have, then that Ataphage attack actually works, or is better.
Yeah, at least is at least profitable.
Yes. But you know, those 2 mistakes working in unison against him definitely feels like this game is quickly falling out of reach for him.
So now it looks like Bourne is drawing a spell. I don't know what it is, but we're going to find out right now. It's a Crested Ceraton.
Crown Ceraton. You got both words wrong.
Yeah, that was embarrassing. That was wow.
4/3.
Crested Ceraton?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Crown Ceraton is what it is.
Yeah.
Don't bring it up. This is the one time I don't want you to bring a card up. I don't want you to mess that
up. The decoy scavenges, makes the Rhino a little bigger, and you know Bourne stabilized the board. I'm fairly sure. Like, there's no evasion. There's no attacks through the what is now a 5/5 with all the effects applied to it.
Because it would be a 6/5 -1 from the Cumberstone effect.
And he's got a bunch of super powerful late game cards in his deck and 2 Clue Stones, which he's going to start cracking.
Cracking one of those.
So Bourne definitely in a fine position now, stabilizing the board there, drawing a couple cards. And as I said, his deck is just full of awesome 6 and 7 mana cards. Like we've already seen.
Got a 5 mana one. That's the 5 mana 4/6.
Oh yeah, that's the vanilla guy.
Yeah.
We've seen the Ataphage and the Giant die this game, but he's still got like a Foundry Champion, a Tristani Summoner, and maybe even some others that I don't remember. So still, his deck is still very, very much live.
Now you see Ogre Jailbreaker. We're going to take a look at that. Don't worry, that thing is never going to have Defender again.
Yeah.
In this format.
It's its days of being a jailkeeper
Yeah.
are gone. It is now a jailbreaker once again.
We get an updated result for you guys. You guys can see in the middle on the scoreboard. Goss does defeat Taylor 2-1. So Corbin, Goss, and Bourne are up here right now so far. But you look at the clock in the middle ticking down as another jailbreaker comes into play. 2:15 and ticking there, AJ. Tick-tock goes the clock as Bourne has drawn an eyes in the sky.
Well, the format is like so slow, and with the teammates, you know, chiming in and talking over plays, pretty much every round has gone to time today, right?
And it being a new format too, so there's a lot to think about. I mean, for some players, believe it or not, this is like their pre-release.
Yeah.
You know? Like for me, if I were to play this one, this was my pre-release. I'd be like, man, all these cards are sweet. I don't even do, but they sure are fun.
And this is like a pretty stable position.
Ooh.
Lashes not only you know, opening up the position a little for maybe some potential attacks in a couple turns, but also being straight up a 4-turn clock on its own.
So 1,000 lashes gonna cut this game down.
It's not going to take 1,000. It's not going to take 1,000 lashes.
All right,
to finish
4
this.
lashes is the name of that card then.
A few lashes will do her.
So Forest comes in. Bird tokens, you see there the penguin tokens from Eyes in the Sky. But those things don't do much. As you see a point at the Hunter of Nightfield saying, yep, they're ones. They don't do anything.
Poor penguins.
What can Bourne do to get himself out of the situation? Already uses 2 clue stones. He's got 1 card left in his hand. What is this spell going to be? Looks like he's used all of his scavenge from his graveyard as well. Kagari Decoy already in the exiled zone along with that Centaur healer.
He's casting his scavenge guys and the clue stones. You know, he's really out of gas. His top of his deck's got to be quite nice to him for the next couple turns for him to pull out of this.
Not only be quite nice in the next couple turns, but I mean, we got 30 seconds on the clock too. These guys aren't going to make it to game 3.
Yeah.
And if you're Parshall, you're just saying, hold on, sweetness. But I guess he's already up a game anyway. He just, you know, and he's at 19 life. So if Bourne's going to win this game,
it's win or draw for Parshall.
Yeah, it's going to have to be something nice.
Unflinching Courage, aka Armadillo Cloak. Armadontal Cloak, not a Dillo Cloak.
What it's doing is not very much right now. It makes that guy into a 5-power guy again because of the -1/-0 there. So, you know, it would become a 6/8. It's actually just a 5/8. And again, the problem here is I look at Corpse Blockade just going, yep, go ahead.
Yeah, you have no profitable attacks. You're going to have to, like, throw it away in a turn or two to not die to the 1,000 lashes. Time has been called for them. So, I mean, this game looks like it's, I mean, either Parshall is going to win or draw, right? Which is a match win for him, which evens up the match. So, oh, I'm sorry. It looks like Corbin has lost to Kollmer.
Wow. So Kollmer
so
wins
it is all on
2-1.
Bourne, and Bourne has to win this game.
Yep.
He cannot
for this
draw.
match to be a draw.
Yeah, to get to a draw, he needs to win the game. The best they can do is draw.
Pass the turn back.
Go down to 1 life on his next upkeep. The lashes hit again. So now he's got to attack with his Unflinching Courage creature to not die on his next upkeep.
I'm a little surprised that Unflinching Courage didn't just go on a flyer. Right? Like, is there a reason for it not to go on a flyer?
He could have been hitting for 2 lifelink a turn.
Gaining some lifelink a little bit?
Yeah. I agree. I didn't even know that, but you were definitely correct.
And now this thing has to get in. Course Blockade couldn't be happier to block. There's
Smite.
a Smite, yeah, so no
to
lifelink
even prevent
for
the
you.
lifelink. Wow.
And that's
There's
it.
the
So
hand.
Parshall's going to win the match, and his team is going to take it down. Kollmer, Taylor, and Parshall. You see a little bit of excitement among Mr. Parshall there. They are moving on. I think they are still undefeated.
Very, very well played matches all around.